Yes, my name is Anna Diamond Aaba Atach, and I am a British Iranian social scientist and soon to be author from London, UK. Yes, so I am the current Alistair Horne Visiting Fellow at St. Anthony's, Oxford. And during my time here, I have been researching and really kind of building the spine or the core structure of my book to be, which is titled as Breaking Silence, The Daughters of Iran. While I was here and I still am here, my sole focus has really been to put together a very strong proposal. The way it usually works with nonfiction and memoir is that your book or the idea of the book is acquired based on the strength of the proposal, which is exactly what happened to me. So my amazing agent, Saif Curran at Curtis Brown, sent out my proposal in late February, and within about 24 hours, we had some really amazing responses. And I am very, very grateful to be able to say that we found a fantastic home for my book in the UK with the brilliant independent publisher Canongate. And we also have US and Canadian partners with an imprint of Simon & Schuster called Summit Books. We have also, the past 2 weeks, been able to sell the rights for my book for 7 different territories, with 5 current ongoing negotiations with diverse different publishers across the world. And the book is going to be hopefully published in the spring of 2027. And I'm really excited for its international release because I hope that there will be a wonderful reception from people who will read it in very different languages. Yes, absolutely. So Breaking Silence essentially is about the magnificent but also quite volatile history of Iran told from the perspective of its woman. And more specifically, this is a multi-generational saga. So I talk about the woman in my family and the experiences that they went through. I use my own story of captivity in Iran from 2014 to 2018 as the kind of main framework through which I unveil this very long history of women's resistance, perseverance, courage, but also love and motherhood and friendship and hope. And I hope to bring forward stories that are significant and important, but they've just consistently been overlooked and untold. So I'm very grateful that I'm in a position to do so, and I hope that it will be wonderful. I think my journey has been really a blend of all of them. There's an element of personal experience, academic research and inspiration, as well as kind of professional storytelling. And obviously, this story started from a very personal and intimate experience. But I think my background in academia, where I often looked at narratives and how narratives are shaped during times of crisis, particularly by influential forces such as the state, and how the public would react to those narratives. I think those themes really do feed into my current book that I'm writing, even though the book is not academic and it's meant for mainstream kind of general readers. But I think the fellowship, the academic work, and my personal experience all really blend well together. And St. Anthony's and this fellowship has been the most kind of amazing opportunity to marry all of them together. The research process for this book has been quite layered and at times quite overwhelming because I have a significant amount of personal and family archives from, videos, notes, cassettes, audio recordings, to all the notes that I've taken from the time when I was under house arrest and I interviewed my elders, relatives. But then I have to be able to match the personal with what is factual. So I have also done a lot of academic and historic research for this book, and I'm still doing it. I think it's a never-ending process until you really get everything right. So I have consulted with a lot of academics. I have visited and conducted extensive research in various different archives and libraries across the UK. I even went to the US for this purpose to visit like an Iran oral history archives that's based in the Widener Library at Harvard. So it's really, I have tried to complete the picture, if you will. And as I said, I will continue to do that as long as I write this book until it's published. What excites me the most is the approach that I have taken with telling these stories. I share the stories through a rather historical lens, focusing on narratives that have never really seen the light of day before. Most of the time, the brilliant books that we see that concern Iran tend to focus on urban elites, especially the ones that are made for the general reader. So this is really quite unique in that sense, and I'd like to believe that that's what makes it original, which is always exciting. For example, my very first chapter in the book looks at Urmia in 1880s. Most people have never heard of Urmia. So that already in itself is quite distinct. But then I go forward and I talk about the stories of women who lived in Urmia during the time of Russian and British occupation of Iran. I also talk about the Ottoman forces and the Kurdish tribes. And I also mentioned the Jewish and Armenian and Assyrian woman that my great-grandmother befriended with. So these stories are all part of Iran's history, but we've never really seen them. We've never really heard them. And I think when there is so much of history being excluded, it really deprives us of really understanding the state of the country, nation, and its history. Well, I'd like to think that my book builds on the brilliant work of area studies historians, particularly Middle Eastern studies historians, and the works of Iranian novelists who have really paved the way for me to be able to also come forward with this story. And I'd like to think that my book will offer a more inclusive history of Iran. I often refer to it as one that offers a feminist history of Iran. So yeah, I think it's important to be able to understand country from the perspective of its different demographics, whether it's gender, age, ethnicity, religion. So this is really working toward that. Well, I hope that once the book is published, people will read it with joy and curiosity, and that they will recommend it to their friends, family. I hope that it will move people and also move them to the point where they self-reflect on their own agency and the impact they can have within their own communities. I think looking at the state of our world today, where so many of our freedoms are currently at risk, not just in the Middle East, but also in Europe and the US. I think the stories of these women is a testament to the power we all individually hold. It doesn't have to be, I will change the world. Sometimes it's just, I think today I should do the right thing. And that's exactly what the book is about. Women who try to operate in very difficult circumstances by doing the right thing. Well, I had worked on this story for many years. I had carried it with me throughout my graduate studies. So I did my graduate studies at Oxford, and I would visit the Middle East Center quite often because I did MPhil in modern Middle Eastern studies. And I was always looking for an opportunity that would allow me to work in Oxford and really dedicate myself to bringing this book to life. And my mentor, Dr. Catherine Sweet, who, by the way, was one of the first female Rhodes Scholars at St. Antony's College in the 70s. So she's amazing. She sent me this link and she said, Anna, you must apply. And so I looked at it, and I actually couldn't believe it because it was amazing. It was about writing a book for the general audience, and it gave me the financial support, the resources, the libraries, archives. So it just seemed like the most perfect opportunity. And so I decided to go for it, and I'm very grateful that I was accepted. Well, I have an idea for the next book, which is very exciting, but I will cross that bridge when I get there. I think for now, my priority is really writing this book as beautifully and as engagingly as I can, and just getting it out there before I can properly sit down and think about what's next.